For centuries, people thought the story of Goliath was just a legend, a simple tale of a shepherd defeating a giant. But what if that giant was real? What if behind the familiar story lies a darker, more terrifying truth? The Nephilim, mysterious, giant beings, are mentioned in the Bible as creatures born from forbidden unions between fallen angels and human women. Goliath was one of them, a remnant of a cursed bloodline, and his defeat wasn't just a military victory, it was a divine act of war. In this video, we uncover the hidden truth behind giants, ancient battles, and supernatural bloodlines. If you dare, join us, because what you're about to hear might change how you see the Bible forever. 1. Who were the Nephilim? In Genesis 6:4, we read, "The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown." But who were these sons of God? Ancient interpretations say they were fallen angels who descended from heaven and broke the divine boundary between the celestial and the earthly. Their union with human women produced something unnatural, the Nephilim, towering, terrifying beings with strength beyond comprehension and hearts full of corruption. These were not just physical giants, they were the embodiment of rebellion, and God was not pleased. 2. Goliath, the giant. Everyone feared. Goliath wasn't just a skilled warrior, he was a monster of a man. Standing over 9 feet tall, armed with weapons heavier than most men could lift, he struck fear into the hearts of Israel's mightiest soldiers. But Goliath wasn't a random Philistine warrior. He was a descendant of the Nephilim, a living remnant of a cursed race God once tried to wipe off the face of the earth. And yet, here he was, back on the battlefield. Everyone was afraid, except one boy. David, a young shepherd with nothing but a sling, stood before the giant and declared, "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." And with a single stone, Goliath fell. But this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. 3. Goliath's brothers, giants hidden in the shadows. Most people don't know this, but Goliath wasn't alone. In 2 Samuel 21 and 1 Chronicles 20, the Bible speaks of more giants, warriors with terrifying features. One had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. 24 digits total. Another wielded a spear with a head weighing over 15 pounds. These weren't just abnormal humans, they were part of the same bloodline, Goliath's brothers, or perhaps his cousins. Each of them a reminder that the Nephilim weren't fully gone. Somehow, they had survived the flood, and were now hiding in the dark corners of the world, waiting. But God raised up warriors, descendants of David, to destroy them one by one. 4. Why did God hate the Nephilim? Why would God, the creator of all life, want an entire race of beings wiped out? Because he didn't create them. They were never part of his divine design. They were the result of rebellion, of celestial beings abandoning their place and corrupting humanity. The Nephilim were a threat to the balance of creation itself. That's why God sent the flood, to erase their presence, to restore order. But not all were destroyed, and some, like Goliath and his kin, would rise again. 5. David's victory, a turning point in a war between light and darkness. David's battle against Goliath wasn't just a fluke. It was a divine showdown, a collision between a remnant of the old evil and a heart full of faith. Everyone else saw a giant. David saw an abomination. Everyone else heard Goliath's threats. David heard a challenge against the living God. With that single strike, David didn't just kill a warrior. He shattered a legacy of darkness, but many more would follow, and the war would rage on. The Nephilim, Goliath, his brothers, they are more than just strange names in ancient texts. They are symbols of chaos, rebellion, and the ever-present battle between good and evil. Even today, we all face giants, not with swords or spears, but with fear, doubt, temptation, pain. But like David, we can stand tall, because victory never belonged to the strong, it belonged to the faithful. The story of Goliath reminds us, no matter how big your giants are, no matter how dark the world gets, light always wins.